Hi, welcome to the Liam Scheff Show on Truth Frequency Radio and UCY-TV. We're also nicking a little bit from People's Internet Radio. My interview with Sean Maguire, launching my book this week, last week, next week, this week, next week, last week, this week. We talked about it, and it was so much fun that I thought I would replay it here with some new material. If you don't know Sean Maguire, you're going to love Sean Maguire, and you're going to love People's Internet Radio. So without further ado, here we go.
Now, I don't want to give people away. I don't want to be a spoiler for your book.
Yeah, the book's not even out. I mean, it's out next week, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So the first thing I want to say to you and to all my listeners is...
So it ends with a blowjob. Go ahead.
No. Did you start with one as well? No. I thought that's how you got it printed. No, I'm joking.
Oh.
Why
should that be offensive? You know, I really want to rescue certain words from the
I want to know why it's called. I want to know why it's called a blowjob and not a suck job. Sorry,
why is it not called a suck job? Number one.
No idea.
What am I, a flute? Would you truly blew? I would die.
Exactly. It is not the pink oboe you are playing, madam. What do you think you're up to? Anyway, look, it was a brilliant introduction to the book. I had me in stitches, okay, and what can I say? It's you've got. Everyone.
Oh, go ahead. Let it all out. Look,
really,
just go ahead. Just don't. I mean, it's not like it's there's a guy who's somebody's father at the end who's a dark lord of Sith. You know, there's nothing like that. This is the story of me 10 years ago.
Is it your story? Is it real? Is this true?
Well, some of it's true. Helen is true. Helen was my partner who was called to another universe, and that's me.
Yeah.
In there, Will is me, and Helen is Helen.
Okay. Well, look, I'll tell you, the characters you have, whether they're real or not, okay, are absolutely hook, line, and sinker. You want to know from start to finish what they're up to, how they get on. It really is one of those books. Now, I already told you this type of schlap isn't really my scene.
No, right? You hate it.
I do. I really hate fucking this type of shite. No, sorry, I'm joking. But out of this type of shite, it made me laugh, and I mean laugh out loud laugh, okay? Very, very witty, very, very well done. Thank God it's not in the realms of 50 Shades of Bollocks. It really is a bit more real. The Irish friend you have, Jesus, love him. Definitely.
Well, Declan. Remember, he's American, but he's Irish American.
I don't care if he's Irish to me. And, he stayed Irish throughout that book. He's a good lad. I like him. And to every other waitress in Ireland, watch out for Declan's, is all I can say.
They're everywhere.
It was a great read, actually. I mean, you know, you forced me into it because you're me buddy and you've been on me show a few times. And, I thought, well, I'm going to have to read it and give you me views on it. I mean, Declan, Marie, Helen, Caroline, Bettina, they're all the characters.
Yeah,
really,
Annie.
Yeah, they're all amazing. I mean, how many adult books out at the moment? And it is an adult book.
Yeah.
Have a conversation in it about Harry Potter.
Helen's a librarian. So my Helen, and this will confuse the audience, but my Helen the real Helen was a librarian, is a librarian in heaven and the universe now. And I know it's sad for people to hear about. It's sad for me to talk about. But she was with me for 7 years, and I really feel that she was too good for this world, and she was called elsewhere. I'm not joking when I say that. Okay. She was called, she had what they call an aneurysm, but she left here 4 months before Fukushima, and I think somebody said, you don't need to hang around for that, you know.
Okay.
So in the book, I say that I'm working at an ad agency. In real life, at that point, I was working for a very small newspaper, but it's about the same thing. You're just sort of doing other people's work, and I'm an artist, and he's an artist, but he's a professional artist, and I'm an amateur. Well, I'm good, but you know what I mean. That's what he does for his job.
Yeah.
So their parallels are very strong. There are people who I knew then who appear in the book. There are people who I know much better now who make appearances in the book. And Declan is based on a couple of people that I knew. and then some people that I've run into recently. The main character comes from a friend that I had back then, but everything that Declan does, my friend back then did not do.
You have to say that because he's in trouble.
Yeah, he's pretty wild. But my friend back then did a lot of it, and if you work in the restaurant business, and I've worked in the restaurant business and in the bar business, people are very sexual.
Yes.
I probably learned more about the dynamics of tribes in two places. Once I went to a boarding school, which was very insular and strange, and I learned the dynamics of a sort of an unhealthy culty tribe. And then in restaurant work, you learn the dynamics of a small tribe. And everybody's procuring everything with sex. Everybody's pressed up against each other and hauling things around and sweating and working, and your pheromones are everywhere. And at the end of the night, you're just beaten and tired, and you go home with somebody, and then you say, "Do you want to come up?" Okay, no, and it happens, and you go to work the next day, and you look at them, and they look at you, and go, "Table 5 needs iced tea." Okay, no problem.
Yeah, I worked for many, many years in nightclubs. I was a barman, and my God, that was quite an eye opener for me. It really was. And the people I met, they were incredible people though, and it just showed that we're all sort of in this together, and we should all be supporting each other. And the main crux of this book really is monogamy stinks.
No.
Oh, isn't it? Have I missed the trip?
It's nowhere that it stinks. You don't see it really. You don't see it anywhere being beaten up. Monogamy is nowhere trash.
Okay, you're right. It isn't. But read the book, guys. The Truth About Love. I'm just getting
it is there. It's The Truth About Love. You can find it on Amazon, but it's not even for sale. I think it's there for pre-order if they'll allow that to go through. I have to make. They're fussy about that. I have to make 30 small edits. That I just keep reading it and finding more typos. So I have to fix all of those before it goes out, or at least 98%, or people think, as you said, that, I don't know, I wrote it with my feet.
Yeah. Well, you see, I'm a bit of a grammar Nazi, and, punctuation.
Oh, you didn't like go ahead.
Punctuation is important to me.
Well, go ahead.
And it's important to other people. Well, you don't start sentences with and
right. But you do in a character.
You do when you're talking in conversation, you do.
Right, but the whole book is, right. So the whole book is conversation. It's not a book of essays.
You can't say that. Okay, you did.
But you can.
No, this is conversational.
And so is the book. The book's very conversational, and
it's wonderful.
It unrolls. I'll have another read-through for extraneous ands that begin sentences. No, of course I will.
And a comma after an and. You don't put a comma after an and, okay?
Well, if the two thoughts are, that's not the rule. If the two thoughts are distinctly separate, you can.
Okay.
It depends on the and if you're joining peanut butter and jelly, you don't. But if you're saying, I had sex with peanut butter, and then you really add a second thought, and you say, and jelly, you can use an and.
Can you really? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Because the peanut butter and jelly indicates that you had sex with them together. But anyway, grammar rules are there to be flexed.
They are poetic license. I use it myself. I'm a poet, so I'm bound to be using poetic license occasionally.
But,
tell you what was your favourite? Oh, sorry, go on.
No, it's fine. 98% of it should be hammered out by, it is now, and I just keep working on it, and it should be done as it comes out, and I'll get a few notes back. And the good news is it's coming out on Kindle, which means that if I find 5 things, I'll fix them, I'll upload the file, and if you've already bought it, you can upload the file, and,
Bing bang gone. It's gone. Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah, it's gone. So, the book starts in Boston. It's 2005. I don't really give a date. There's a little map I made of the Boston the Massachusetts Bay Transport Authority, or what we used to call the T. They call it the T for transportation, but they call it the T. And the T is the subway and trolley that careens around Boston never very efficiently, which has a minor role, I think, in the book. I didn't think twice about whether people were going to understand the name of the stops. I just assumed that if you've been in a city, there are train stops. And the more you see them, the more you become familiar with them. There's no point in describing any of them. They're all disgusting. They're all dusty and full of old rust. And so you get that feeling. And so I the character Will rides the T just as I did, and he takes long walks through Boston. So you spend a lot of time on what the locals call the MIT Bridge, which is actually, I believe, called the Harvard Bridge for no reason that makes any sense, because it doesn't really, it used to seem to connect Harvard to Boston, but now there are 2 miles of everything else in between. And the Harvard Bridge is a small bridge near Harvard that isn't also technically called the Harvard Bridge, but I don't get into any of that, so I just call it the MIT Bridge or the Mass Ave Bridge. And my character Will takes walks because he's like me. He takes walks everywhere. And he walks back and he thinks. And he walks with his friend Declan, who smokes cigarette after cigarette. And they talk about girls. Mm-hmm. And those conversations are drawn very much from life, without abbreviation, without being cleaned up. I'm not lying. I'm not using polite language. I'm not writing a Harry Potter book.
No, it was definitely men's talk.
It was men's talk, but for women. Men's talk that I think women would like to see, because we're not calling women whores and sluts, and we're not putting them down. We're telling the truth about it's like Sex and the City is girls talk, but men watch it. Okay. This is what we talk about. This is how, and it's not sports talk. I don't suppress any of my homosexual feelings or whatever into sports like so many people do. Waiting.
What are you waiting for? Somebody in the chat room wants to say the name of the book and the author. Geez, well, you're not listening at the beginning of the show, sorry.
The name of the book is Sean Maguire's life story, biography of Sean.
No, it's not. The Truth About Love.
Let me see if that comes up on Amazon, by the way.
Okay. A novel about finding your more than one. And it's by Liam Scheff. Scheff. How's that?
Oh, yeah. So there's The Truth About Love, which is by Dr. Patrick Love, which says how you can make things last forever. There's The Truth About Love, a novel. There's another Truth About Love.
Did you not Google the title of your bloody book before you wrote the title of your bloody book?
I'm sorry. There's an album, The Truth About Love by Pink.
Yeah.
Now let me see. This isn't published yet, so it's not. Oh, there it is. It's 5 down, and it's $6.99 on Kindle Zero if you have Kindle Unlimited, and it's for pre-order right now.
Well, Laurie says name of the book and the author. I might give this to a friend.
Yeah, it's good, but you have to. The thing is that it's digital. You see, and the reason it's digital, and it will be on Amazon UK, and you'll be able to buy it on paperback. But the reason it's digital is for the first few months, you want the flexibility of a digital version so that it can get out and not be very expensive. And you want people to read it and review it and get a feeling for it. Paperbacks cost the audience much more, 3 times as much, and they make the author a third. Mm-hmm. You see, so everybody's losing. Yeah. And I've capitulated to some degree, even though I resisted it. I've capitulated to the market and what it offers right now. The Victorian age was full of pamphlets, and nobody writes pamphlets anymore.
Yes, they do.
Oh, go on.
Yeah, we're just about to release a pamphlet from People's from People's Internet Radio, explaining the official offer, how to bring down your government, and how to stand in your sovereignty. Oh, it's been a long day.
Who's delivering? Do you have any?
We will deliver it by hand, personally.
By hand.
Yeah.
Do you have any little urchins?
No, we will. Well, we're all urchins together.
Do you have any workhouse urchins that you're liberating?
No, they're all in England now. Leave them alone.
So the book starts in Boston. It's 2005, and he's undeterred. Will's working. He's an artist. I mean, he really is a fine artist, but he's doing what all fine artists do. You either work in the cinema and you make special effects for George Lucas, or whomever, or Peter Jackson. You work, in that sort of thing, or you work in advertising. And he didn't mean to, but he got pulled into advertising because in his small town in California, which we never really learned too much about, except we learned about his mother, he got into making in the 90s. In the 80s really. He got into making computer graphics and banners for bands and record stores. Then the internet came out, and suddenly he was somebody who could use Photoshop and Corel Paint and all these other things. And so he became by accident a commercial artist. And you just hear that in very short flashbacks. And he was on the run. I guess this is the important setup for the story. He had a wonderful relationship with with a very exciting woman a girl that he got along with, that they were probably in college together. And they were in their, 20s, and they had great sex. And he occasionally, because the schedules wouldn't match, would be at a party and make out with somebody, and he'd feel terrible and he'd confess. And the girlfriend started to take an interest, and it started to turn her on. So he felt that he was at leave to go a little further. One day, the girlfriend, Jess, she's called, surprised him by saying that she was bisexual, had always been bisexual, but had been sort of putting it aside for a while to see, and that she now had a girlfriend. And so he began to measure himself in every way to see if he was a failure, if he wasn't making enough money, if his penis was, et cetera, all the things. And she stopped him in the middle and said, no, I want to keep you both. So for a short period of time, he had a girlfriend who had a girlfriend. And it freaked him out, as we say over here. It flipped his lid. He couldn't handle it. And he ran away to the East Coast. Ran away. He ran away like a coward from a girl who was having sex with other girls and didn't mind if they had a more open relationship, because he just couldn't handle it.
Is he insane? It's a man's dream. No, I'm sorry. Shush. That was my subconscious speaking.
And we were supposed to say this to Will, but the reality of the fantasy dream coming true is very different. When it presses up against your whole Judeo-Christian programming, your ethos, your sanity, your desire to feel like you're the special one. Oh, you're the special one. Yeah. And there's a girl that you love, and she's out there, and he can't quite figure out what they're doing, but whatever they do, he says, scissoring or oral sex with each other, he just runs. He's at the end of his 20s, beginning of his 30s, and he runs.
He just can't handle it.
So, go on.
He just can't handle the truth.
No, he can't handle the truth of the idea that maybe he's the one who started it.
Ah.
He started it.
Yeah.
He's very clear that he had some adventures even while he was going out with this girl, and he's clear that he knows he's a hypocrite, but he can't do anything about it. So this is the story of him coming to terms with something.
Yes.
Whatever it is. It's not he doesn't come out at the end as a, bisexual cross-dressing stripper. He's still he's very much himself at the end. He's calm.
My favorite part of the whole book are the smoking Swedes.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Do you want to explain a little bit about them, or no?
Yeah. So Will's best friend, I've got to be careful I don't use people's real names. I'm Will, clearly. And it's autobiographical and fictionalized.
So Liam's best friend.
No, it's not.
I'm sorry, Will's best friend.
But, he's different than I do. And I am. He's got no politics. When politics comes up, he shrugs his shoulders.
Uh-huh.
What can I do about that?
Yep.
And he lets the other people go crazy with it. And there are differences. But his best friend works at a bar. And the bar is on a very busy street called Newbury Street. And I happen to spend a lot of time on Newbury Street. And his best friend, of course, he works at the bar, so he gets to eat. He's not a drinker. I think he has one beer during the whole course of the book, and he smokes pot pretty regularly. But his friend Declan's a drinker, really a good drinker. And we never really we hear about Declan getting blitzed, but we never quite witness it. But we hear from Declan's mouth other things that he gets into. The Swedes, there are these two girls from Sweden, and one of them works at the bar and the other one's her friend, and they're both luscious in their way. One's taller and auburn-haired, and one's a little shorter and then a little bouncier and plucky, funny, hysterical, and a little crazy. She'll pull a knife at a party and stab food and wave it around, for example, and no one quite knows why. And these girls live together, and they seem to find the entire American concept of any pretense about sexual, what we would think of as sexual normalcy over here, which is of course puritanical mental illness. They find it to be passé and unnecessary. So Bettina has a male friend who we meet. He comes and goes. He seems to be a cheerful guy, but we never really know what their relationship is. And his name is Andy. And then Annie, I know, I had to fight with that, whether I was going to give them all wildly distinct names, but Andy is her, and so she has a friend, Anna, who's called Annie, and she has a male friend, Andy. And little Annie is bouncy and full of fun and love and excitement, and neither of them quite ever say no, and they both, they show up at different parts of the novel, and they drive home the point that it's easier to talk about a threesome than it is to have one.
Okay.
It's much easier to think that you're going to really enjoy this, but when it comes to it, you might grip yourself and say, I don't know if I'm ready for this.
Say with everything, really?
Same for everything. Now, the central relationship, there are two central relationships, Will and Declan, who is his male counterpart, his alter ego, his darker...
It was the actual hero of the book in my eyes, but anyway.
Declan, who's the hero of the book, and Will, who is his pale avatar who we follow about. Will, who isn't drunk all of the time,
I'm only joking, guys. I'm only joking.
Avoids trouble when he can. But Will bites onto trouble too. But I think the primary emotional relationship of the book is that with Helen, and that is the most autobiographical part. The home that Will and Helen have is the home that I had with my Helen. There's no doubt about it. I was not exorcising so much of a demon as welcoming back a rather angelic presence into my life as I wrote those scenes, and they flowed, and she was right there. If the book comes to nothing, but people get the ability to meet somebody who was the best person that I ever knew, mm-hmm. then it comes to that, and that means something to me.
Yes. Are you happy with the book?
Yes. Oh, God, I think it's just pitch perfect. It doesn't strain the audience. It doesn't beat them up to tell them that they should be anything. It ends on a hopeful, open note about you being able to decide what you're going to be. So, yeah, I like that.
I think it's fantastic. I really do. So the movie rights, when are we going to sort that out?
The movie rights are probably being stolen by a conglomerate right now that will change the name, change the characters, and I'll never hear about it. Yeah. I'm not very litigious, so I'll just go on the air saying that's clearly my book, and that's all I'll do. I mean, I don't want to fight people in court.
No.
It does feel like a movie, doesn't it? I mean, somebody was telling me, she said it feels just like a film, and I said, well, it feels like an independent movie from America from the 1990s.
Yeah, it does.
Like
this has got cult status written all over it.
Mm. Because the sex is honest.
Yeah.
It's not you never hear about throbbing members, by the way. It's so matter of fact.
No, what I did like about it is you didn't go into the heavy petting sessions.
It's not even. Now, I took it from the perspective that I could best describe. Not that I couldn't describe the other, but I find that sort of boring. What we do as males after we have an encounter and we go and talk to our friends is we explain what happened. That's what I think people will get out of this, among other things. If women want to know what men talk about after sex, it's here in this book called The Truth About Love, a novel about finding your more than one, because we get together and we talk, and we give some details. We make fun of each other for the things, like, Declan is resistant to giving oral sex to women, which my character makes fun of him for, which is the truth.
You think it should be more loving, not so spontaneous. You believe that there should be, 1, 2, 3, and 4 play.
Oh, I got to put this on my reel. I like this interview. This is going on YouTube.
Oh, good. Hey, listen, I need somebody to help me put my shows on YouTube, so we'll talk about that another time.
Yeah, I know. It's such a labor of unlove to put it through the processor, and then you get the right graphics, and then you put it up there, and YouTube tells you if your music is wrong, and then they take it down, and then you put it up, and then you tell them to fuck off.
Is that what it's like? Because I'm dreading it, and obviously I'm not getting my shows put onto Facebook, directly, so...
Oh, you know what?
YouTube was an idea.
my friend Jules, who runs UCY TV, which I have a show on, which you're invited to be on any time. In fact, I'll just play this one. This will be my next show. Hi, this is the Liam Scheff Show. Welcome to UCY TV and Truth Frequency Radio.
Bullshit. People's Internet Radio. Don't forget.
And People's Internet Radio. But Jules has automated it so that the thing peels off the stream and goes into a processor and spits out with the host's picture and everything, and it's just up there in seconds.
That's magic.
Some kind of genius.
Yeah, well, not only that, you also need a little bit of good internet connection, whereas here in the west of Ireland, oh my God, it takes me hours for the MP3.
Now, so that's the book. So the book is called The Truth About Love. It will be out on Sunday night or Monday, and it's there it'll be on my website, which is liamscheff.com. It'll be there in the show notes. And that was Sean Maguire and myself, Liam Scheff, selling my new book, telling you about my new book, and talking about sex and reality. This is the Liam Scheff Show on Truth Frequency Radio and UCY TV. We will continue this conversation in the second half hour. And now for a UCY TV special. We're talking about my new book, The Truth About Love, a novel about finding your more than one. Is anybody really monogamous? That's the question on the mind of Will, a 32-year-old graphic artist working at the bottom rung of a Boston ad agency, using his artistic skill to promote juice drinks, while he secretly dreams of painting large canvases like his heroes Alphonse Mucha and Gustav Klimt. He's on the run from a broken heart, still feeling the sting of the breakup with his California girlfriend, who he loved, even though she also loved other women, which made him run all the way across the country. Now he's back in his old hometown, Boston, palling around with good-time friends, but longing for some truer romance. When he meets the perfect girl at work, she invites him into an exotic arrangement, but he's not sure he can keep up. He's cheered on by his drinking buddy Declan, a local bar manager, a source of endless trouble, and it's only his new best friend, Helen, who keeps his feet on the ground. In this novel about love, sex, and romance, the truth is revealed to look nothing like the storybook version, as Will is left to wonder, is anybody really monogamous? And deep down, is he? In this novel by Official Stories author Liam Scheff, that's me, you're invited into a world that you'll immediately recognize. This is no Harlequin romance. There will be no hot, throbbing members and stampeding horses. This is a fictionalized but semi-autobiographical account. We discover that true romance does not require exotic vacations, expensive hotel rooms, or movie star looks or lines. It occurs without warning, at work, in cars and subways, in elevators and on bridges, at bars and parties, in apartments, and on walks and talks with friends and lovers. The book playfully takes on the controversial subjects of non-monogamy, threesomes, bisexuality, and more in a loose, convivial atmosphere, allowing the reader to experience the thoughts and feelings of the characters, their doubts and insecurities, and the love that keeps them going and coming back for more. That's the book. It's out. You can buy it. You can pre-order it tonight, as this airs originally, and you can buy it tomorrow. It's $6 and change, maybe $7. It's a pittance. It's a lot of fun to read. I can't post the reviews because they're still coming in. They're all very positive. People just feel that it's very fun, very seductive, very easy to read, wildly true. And I've had guys tell me that, shit, I didn't know you could get away with this. This is actually how we talk. Are you allowed to write this? Aren't you giving away the secrets? So that's the book. It's available. Please pick it up on Kindle. You can read it on ebook. You can read it on your Mac, PC, phone, tablet, or any other electronic streaming NSA device. See you soon. And we're back on the Liam Scheff Show on UCY TV and Truth Frequency Radio. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being my make-believe friends in make-believe internet, free internet land, while the very real NSA chews up your data, while every friend that you add on Google Plus goes right into the data bank. What's secret? What don't they know? What can't they know? They keep it all, and what good does it do? Fukushima is destroying the world anyway. So you might as well love a little bit better and a little bit more often. That's what this book is about. We're coming back with an interview with Sean Maguire of People's Internet Radio, which I stole with permission, and we're playing it right here on this show right now. Let's get back to it. And it'll be whatever it is in Ireland. Probably it's $7 US, $6.99 US.
So for less than a tenner on Kindle, basically.
Oh yeah, much less. And if you want to support independent arts and independent writing and the truth, really, I'm telling you the truth about sex from a very grounded, real point of view of a male who's had more than a little and been cautious at times. But, the thing that we haven't said about Will is he engages in a pretty robust affair.
Yes. He does.
We didn't say that.
No. Well, you can say it.
He's drawn in by a woman. Now, Will and I have something in common in that we have many planets in Taurus.
I'd much rather you tell people about the woman's husband first.
Well, she's not married.
Oh, is that not the one? Is that Caroline? We're not talking about Caroline.
Caroline, yeah. She's not married, but she's a young woman of 25. Will's 32. She's 25 and going on 26, and she is, to him, perfect. Caroline the perfect. He can't think of other words to call her. He describes her. He draws her. Will makes portraits. He does it for money outside of work. But it seems that he's almost doing it for the sake of getting these women ask him, and he's not sure what's happening. He's a bit of a babe in the woods sometimes, a bit naive at times. Caroline seems to have she's there at work. She's the secretary at the small ad agency. And Will's working, and his friend there, the lascivious, dark character of Graham is there by his side working on Illustrator, Adobe Illustrator, and Will's working on Photoshop. And Caroline is the perfect secretary, and she is perfect looking, and she speaks well, and she dresses well. She dresses like she was dressed at Talbot's, or just a very upscale, I'd have to think of the West Coast equivalent, but a very upscale clothing store. Nothing's ever out of place. Her hair falls in beautiful shimmers. Her skin is lovely. Her eyes are set just far enough apart to give you that beguiling look that she does. And she's, whenever you don't see her first, you smell the vanilla and cinnamon coming off of her skin, and he can't quite think when he's around her. And for some reason, she takes an interest. Well, it turns out Will's not as much of a slouch as he thought. He's a little better looking and a little more interesting than he thought, but he just doesn't think of himself that way because he was a little fat when he was 12 or 11 or something, and he was an artist. I mean, he sat around and drew all day. And it's a surprise to him in many ways that this very good-looking woman is sort of interested. But she's got a guy, and the guy is a millionaire. And Will goes to her place and draws her, and she engages him in an affair. Mm. And Will can't say no, but she tells him that it's okay because there are rules. I won't tell you what all the rules are, but they're a bit exotic, and the rules involve voyeurism, and Will's not sure if he can handle it. That's something he's pressed up against. He's not sure if he can manage to fulfill the obligations of this new exciting romance. So he's got his primary relationship really is with Helen. His second most important relationship is with Declan. Yes. Then there's this third most important relationship, which isn't as emotionally important, but is the only strong sexual relationship for him in the book is with this, God, this powerful, almost inhuman creature of Caroline, who's so beautiful to him that he can't quite focus. But she comes down to earth in the end, you know. She has her.
Yeah. He had probably her leaving. Remember when she left when she left the building? That was probably the best leaving of a building that I've read about.
Yeah, that's good. I won't give any more of that away, but
no,
yeah,
it's really good.
She's very self-possessed. She's young. She'll land on her feet. She is gorgeous.
Confident.
You know, she's confident, but she's in over her head in a relationship, and it seems that everybody's in a little bit over their heads, except maybe Declan, who just drinks away the edges. You know,
he's living to his means, whereas everybody else is sort of they're fragile. They're having great difficulty with it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it is doubt and fear and mistrusting of oneself.
Yes. But we'll see, you know, in the future if there's a sequel, and there might be, whether Declan's there or not, whether Declan's indulgence of everything pays off in the end. You know, if you live by the bottle and it's charming when you're in your 20s, it's something else when you're in your 40s.
Say that again.
If you live by the bottle, if you skate on the bliss that comes with forgetfulness, you know, of shrugging things off when you're at a certain age, in your 20s and 30s, by the time you're in your 40s, it's not charming, and you've forgotten to attend to certain conversations. And we don't see this happen. We're not going to see this in this book. This book is light. This book is not, this is Star Wars. It's not The Empire Strikes Back. You know, nobody gets frozen and nobody dies and gets their hand cut off, you know. This is the exploration of a hero's very imperfect journey, and Declan's a hero in his story, and Helen is a hero in her story. And Helen comes to terms. Helen is so much wiser than Will in some ways, and she knows things about him that she thought he knew. They're so obvious to her. But they have to figure this out together. And they're each other's primary partner. If Will had to be separated from anybody in the book, Helen would be the last.
Yes. Yes, definitely.
But he's so reluctant to be sexual with her. And they're terribly affectionate, but he's terrified to be sexual with her. And he's not sure why.
Yeah. You see, it's very, very difficult, isn't it? Because people have been conditioned. You know, some people still think that sex is dirty all their lives. All their lives they think it's dirty. That's amazing, isn't it?
Let me read to you, see if I have this. I got a response from something I posted on Zuckerberg Incorporated. Facefuck. Here it is. I posted one of my little cartoons, you know, my little square boxes. They call them memes, but you know what I mean. They're just cartoons, really. Even if they're pictures, they're just funny. And I posted one. Now, this 50 Shades of Grey, which is tripe, came and went, or maybe it's still going. And I thought this is such not an interesting way to talk about sex. A 22-year-old virgin, you know, is entrapped by a slightly older man who's clearly a narcissistic sociopath of some sort, wants her to sign a non-disclosure agreement. I mean, none of this happens in real life. None of it. If it happens to you, you're not living in the real world. I'm sorry. Most of us just meet people and fool around or don't, you know. So I decided that to do the real 50 Shades of Grey, and I have a cartoon in which a good-looking girl and a good-looking guy are sitting at a cafe. I just stole a picture using the disclaimer of Creative Commons usage or whatever. And the girl is saying, "Wow, I really like oral sex." And the guy says, "I do too." And the girl says, "No, I really do." And the guy says, "No, I really do." And the girl says, "You should come over to my house sometime." And the guy says, "I think I'll do that." That's all it said. It's just funny because people like this stuff and we pretend that we don't. We pretend we have to talk about it in a way that and then I went down and I did. No, you don't have to talk in that low voice. I like oral sex. Oral sex is good. It is fun. It is nice. Everybody likes to have their Ghibli bits stimulated by mouths and tongues. Everybody likes it.
And I still absolutely love when a commentator at the end of a football match says, "And the referee blows."
Excuse me. Yes. And that's
Look,
good football.
I really don't realize. I don't like the hidden, the subterfuge. Between consenting adults, should they not be able to say what the feck they want?
Of course they should. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who's in her 20s, and we've been friends. I've never flirted with her, and now she started flirting. I said, what are you doing? She said, "I'm in my 20s. I can flirt with you." I said, "No." She said, I'm 25. I can flirt. All right. Don't just settle down, because we have this. We're programmed to be like a responsible adult. So I posted that meme exactly as I told you, and this woman named Diane said, "Really? Exactly what I told you. I really like oral sex." I do too. And by the way, the woman was very white and blonde-haired, and the man was black and dark-haired. So we have already this color dichotomy. So this woman comes on and says, "Really? Is that why we have marriage? We all know right from wrong, and just because you want to be a filthy piece of garbage, do not peddle your filth around here." Now, where is here? Facebook? The internet? I'm confused.
No, she's confused. She thinks there are rules and regulations that she has the right to tell you that you're breaking.
But is oral sex the dirty part? Is that he's black and she's white the dirty part? Is it that they're not married and not having oral sex the dirty part?
I don't know. Some people just suck.
And some people are good at it.
Yeah. I was waiting for that. It was lovely. That was just perfect.
So the book out on Sunday night or Monday is called The Truth About Love by Liam Scheff, a novel about finding your more than one. Now, Sean,
yes,
like Will in the story, I recognized early on that I probably was not monogamous, but I failed to accept it.
Right.
I rebelled against it. I went both ways with it, and I was confused. I did that with a number of parts of my own sexuality. I thought that I might be, and then I rebelled it, and then I tried to accept it, and I couldn't, and because we're so programmed to try to fit into the Judeo-Christian male-female till death do you whatever, till death do you farts dichotomy.
One would even think, wouldn't that be easier if we did? Just that we magically fell in love with the one, and they fell in love with you, and you were their one. Yes, it would be lovely. It would be magic. It would be fairy tale, the way we would all conform and be happy, happy, happy. But it ain't like that, is it?
It's work. If you want to be monogamous, you really have to work on sublimating a lot of your other interests.
Yes.
If you don't want to be monogamous, you have to be an excellent communicator. Now, we've just omitted 90-something% of the human species from being successfully non-monogamous in an open, honest way. What I point out in the book is that people just do it and they don't talk about it. And it doesn't really even hurt anybody's feelings most of the time, because most people don't know most of the time what's happening. They end up at a bar, they end up at a party. I mean, Will's at a party and he's kissing some girl. He doesn't even think about it again. It's never mentioned again. He doesn't think about it because it just was in the moment.
And isn't that really how things should be? The biggest thing that, what annoys me is if one is going to go down the monogamous one man, one woman lifestyle.
Go down one man, one woman.
Yeah. Hang on. Go down that route. If one is going to go down that route, Liam, I really think, that so many people end up with loving, caring, wonderful family lives, and because of the rules, apparently, that exist, getting drunk and having a sloppy kiss with some female at the back of a pub or something, not even wanting to, maybe, could end up ending a marriage, ending a relationship. These are the finger-pointing bitches and all the gossip that goes with it that can end a whole relationship and a marriage that could have been fantastic if one didn't think that was a problem. That you can get drunk and end up getting snogged by some slapper.
Snogged by some slapper?
Yeah, do you like that?
I loved it. I confused.
Oh, sorry. Am I using colloquialisms?
I'm in love with the colloquial snog by a slapper is something I would say, but people would say, what did you just say? I don't know.
Kissed without really wanting it, but slapped by a slapper. Basically, you could be doing stuff out, you're drunk, you're chatting away to someone, and someone can actually swing your chair around, sit on a knee, and give you a big kiss.
Ah.
And then someone walking through the bar who didn't see how it happened can go, oh my God, that's Fred. He's married to Nora. And then, before you know what's happened, Fred and Nora have ended their relationship.
Yeah, I have a friend, and they're working on some difficulties, and she had she kissed somebody, and he said that she had an affair. I said, it's not, kissing is not an affair. Everybody has their definition. I mean, if kissing is an affair, then everybody I know has had several.
Yeah.
It has to have some long-term value. I think, I never really like the word affair anyway. I think that what you have is extracurricular affection. It's nice. I think it's better if you're going to be honest and have a wonderfully open relationship rather than the game. Once you understand what you're in it for, though, if you understand that your wife does this with girls or this with boys sometimes, and you have a rule, don't get pregnant, don't give me herpes.
Or just be quiet about it. Don't be shouting it from the rooftops.
Yeah, there's that. There's a lot of value in that. But we live in the age of Rousseauian declamation. Jean-Jacques Rousseau, he needed to tell everybody about everything that was going on in his life and how he called his older partner mother and all these other things. So we live in the era of Jean-Jacques Rousseau and the personal exploration of everything. Now, I didn't write an autobiography because I didn't really think it was anybody's business what exactly happened. But I wrote a piece of fiction or a fictionalized autobiography because I thought it was very interesting to talk about what happens in general and with some specifics so that we don't feel so anxious, so that we don't feel so pressured not to be ourselves. And if it means that now there's this movement coming out, this monogamish, they call it monogamish, playing in the slight, slightly monogamous. So they call it monogamish.
Oh God, really? Okay.
Yeah, I know. It's a little precious, but it's coming out of America, a fellow called Dan Savage, who's, been, so on the pro sort of AIDS drug and all this bandwagon. I don't know what he's talking about sometimes. By the way, nobody who takes on monogamy ever tells the truth about how deadly AIDS drugs are, or how bad, this is just another means of sort of a eugenics thing and social control. Nobody tells the truth about, nobody who does the work on bettering an understanding of sexuality also does the work on understanding the way the world works. Chris Ryan, who wrote Sex at Dawn with Casilda Jatha, is a very good book, but it's very, very good. But he doesn't they criticize Darwin throughout, but they don't really understand that Darwin, they cut him a big break as being some sort of genius, but Darwin wasn't a genius. Darwin followed in the footsteps of everybody, the Comte de Buffon and even his grandfather Erasmus, who all understood that you could do taxonomy if you wanted to and just say that things, came about in lines. Those lines have been uprooted time and time again, and nobody really knows much about how it all works. And even the argument that we descend or ascend from apes is from tree apes, land apes, is now argued by I think a bright biologist who says no, we actually resemble water animals much more the way that the way that we're less hairy. And
what do you mean we don't come from the Anunnaki?
I think that the Anunnaki probably have more going on than we know. I don't. Nobody can know. I give the argument in my book, Official Stories, which is available now and on Kindle.
Brilliant. Another bloody book. These Americans selling books on my show. I'm going to have to stop that. No, I'm joking.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're okay. You're here for that reason. I know. It's not to talk to Sean Maguire and out of the
It's
bag.
to talk to you. And how are you feeling?
How am I feeling?
Let's just talk about you.
No, let's not. Tell you what. Let's hear a tune from one of my favourite bands.
Okay, let me say the end of the Darwin thing, because I think you're going to kick me off now, aren't you?
No.
Oh, you're keeping me?
Yeah, well, we've only got 10 minutes left, so I'll play a 5-minute... Right. You'll be back to say good night, won't you?
Yeah, but these guys who do, like the Chris Ryan, these guys never really take apart they don't go deep enough into the problems with science to understand that there are problems. So there's a movement coming around to brand people monogamish, but they're going to grip onto this sort of the state thing and go get your tests and let the government tell you what, and they want you to be free, and they're going to run into trouble with that. You know, they're going to say, well, as long as the government tells you can be together, you can be together.
Yeah, well, we are sort of just wards of the state now, aren't we? And we're all just in mental wards, I think, around the world. Weird. It is weird. And that was What You Gonna Do Tonight by the Homelies. Welcome back to Out of the Bag. This is Sean Maguire live on People's Internet Radio. That's www.peoplesinternetradio.com, where we are seeking solutions. And Liam, you've given me a solution for people to pre-order your book.
It's for pre-order in the UK, and you go to Amazon.com and type in a series of numbers. But you have the link if it's there on the
brilliant. I've got
the
that.
chat room.
I will pop that into the chat room now.
But if you don't, go to Amazon, look up Liam Scheff, and besides the hate screeds written by the pharmaceutical industry, you'll find charming and amusing books by yours truly. And one of them is The Truth About Love, a novel about finding your more than one. As I spend the next 3 days poring over with my eyes hurting and bunching up in the nerves, trying to find the last little buts and ands that begin sentences.
Look, stop it, just because I'm a grammar Nazi. You know, it's one of those things. Look, I've got a book out, and there are mistakes in it, and the person that doesn't see them is the person that actually does the writing. So look, get a few of your buddies to go over it and do a bit of proofreading for you, and that'll be great. It'll be so awesome.
Oh, believe me, you got the first, by the way, and I even said in the one that I sent you, I said, this is not proved, you know, you got,
yes.
it's being continuously, hedged. And don't get the idea that it's bad. It's not written, again, by somebody's left hand backwards while driving a motorbike down the freeway.
Well, how I can say it to people is, as a review of the book, it was brilliant. It was funny. It was entertaining from start to finish. It was, you know, don't get me wrong, but it definitely is one of those you would read at an airport waiting for a plane, cheer you up no end, and then you can flirt with the stewardess and you'll be grand.
I think that's a great review. I really do. You know, it will gently leave you chewing on an idea, though.
Yes. You've definitely hit a few home truths. You've definitely sparked a few conversations, I think, from partners who might share this book.
I forgot. The bisexuality is a submarine. It's a subterfuge, right? There's a little secondary, tertiary theme there.
Yes.
In which it pops up, and I'm not flogging any horses, and I'm not trying to make anybody think, but it comes up. Will's girlfriend, ex, is bisexual, and there's another character in the story who is, and there's another character in the story who comes into contact with it, and you might be surprised.
Okay.
It's not our main character. I didn't want to put anybody off so much to think, oh my God, this is just tawdry. It's tawdry.
Look, this book also, Liam, we got to admit it, it's not for everyone.
It's for families and infants and toddlers. No, of course, it's for adults with an adult sexual set of curiosities. But it's not. I mean, again, there are no throbbing members. You know.
No. Well, on the throbbing
like across the plain.
On the throbbing members note, we shall finish off. It has come to the end of the show. Liam Scheff, fantastic to have you on the show. Thank you so much. And buy Liam's book. You know how to get it now. All the links are there. And I will definitely put it on the podcast page as well. Liam, thank you very, very much. It was great to talk to Emily Elizabeth Windsor-Cragg. What a name. EEWC. I'll call her from now on. No, I'm joking.
And don't forget you're listening to the Liam Scheff Show on Truth Frequency Radio and UCY TV. No, I'm just playing this on Sunday. It was that good.
Okay, and it's www.peoplesinternetradio.com where we are seeking solutions. And we don't sell books particularly, except my poetry book. Buy it, please. But we also run on donations. There is a donation button under the player, and it would be fantastic if we could be looked after and stay on air. I also want to thank Sabine K. McNeil, who gave me that wonderful interview at the top of the show, which we pre-recorded last night. So to Sabine, to Emily, to Liam, this has been a a fantastic Out of the Bag. Thank you so much to all of you. And to everyone that's listening, to everyone that gets the podcast, good night, take care, thank you.
That was Liam Scheff with Sean Maguire on his wonderful show, Out of the Bag, which plays on People's Internet Radio. But here we are in the Liam Scheff Show on Truth Frequency Radio and UCY TV. It's just too many network names. I can't keep up. It's too much, Liam. I can't keep up. What are you doing to us? I feel like we're going through the rabbit hole and I can't handle it. Speaking of through the rabbit hole, I think I'll be on Popeye's show again soon. Maybe this or next week, talking about the show. We did a great interview about the topic of what is monogamy, about are we a monogamous species. We really got into the hunter-gatherer aspect. That was the book that I was going to write, but I just, as I say in the introduction to the book, which is available on my website, the introduction you can actually read on my website, I couldn't quite pull the bowstring all the way back. I didn't want to be the guy giving you advice all the time about what to do with your love life. It became a little boring. I thought about it, but people are a disaster. So I decided to write what I did, what happened to me, more or less. I have to fictionalize it because some things in my life are none of your business, or I have to keep some people's, names private because they're private people. So you have to change things. And as soon as you start changing names, you might as well fictionalize it and smooth out bits and cut out people who are extraneous and change the job so that it makes it funnier or something like that. So that's what I did. And that's available now at Amazon.com. It's called The Truth About Love. The truth about love is that we love. We love often. We love throughout life. We love with our whole hearts. And the Judeo-Christian marriage system is... come on. Honestly, we can do better. See you next time. And now for a UCY TV special. We're talking about my new book, The Truth About Love, a novel about finding your more than one. Is anybody really monogamous? That's the question on the mind of Will, a 32-year-old graphic artist working at the bottom rung of a Boston ad agency, using his artistic skill to promote juice drinks, while he secretly dreams of painting large canvases like his heroes Alphonse Mucha and Gustav Klimt. He's on the run from a broken heart, still feeling the sting of the breakup with his California girlfriend, who he loved, even though she also loved other women, which made him run all the way across the country. Now he's back in his old hometown, Boston, palling around with good-time friends, but longing for some truer romance. When he meets the perfect girl at work, she invites him into an exotic arrangement, but he's not sure he can keep up. He's cheered on by his drinking buddy Declan, a local bar manager, a source of endless trouble, and it's only his new best friend, Helen, who keeps his feet on the ground. In this novel about love, sex, and romance, the truth is revealed to look nothing like the storybook version, as Will is left to wonder, is anybody really monogamous? And deep down, is he? In this novel by Official Stories author Liam Scheff, that's me, you're invited into a world that you'll immediately recognize. This is no Harlequin romance. There will be no hot, throbbing members and stampeding horses. This is a fictionalized but semi-autobiographical account. We discover that true romance does not require exotic vacations, expensive hotel rooms, or movie star looks or lines. It occurs without warning, at work, in cars and subways, in elevators and on bridges, at bars and parties, in apartments, and on walks and talks with friends and lovers. The book playfully takes on the controversial subjects of non-monogamy, threesomes, bisexuality, and more in a loose, convivial atmosphere, allowing the reader to experience the thoughts and feelings of the characters, their doubts and insecurities, and the love that keeps them going and coming back for more. That's the book. It's out. You can buy it. It's $6 and change, maybe $7. It's a pittance. It's a lot of fun to read. I can't post the reviews because they're still coming in. They're all very positive. People just feel that it's very fun. very seductive, very easy to read, wildly true. And I've had guys tell me that, shit, I didn't know you could get away with this. This is actually how we talk. Are you allowed to write this? Aren't you giving away the secrets? So that's the book. It's available. Please pick it up on Kindle. You can read it on